Boualem Sansal is a French Algerian author. Now, he gained fame and notoriety when he published a novel. He's published several works, but he published one in 2015 entitled 2084. And it won a Grand Prix de Roman de l'Académie Française, which is a very prestigious prize in France, almost equivalent to the Goncourt. And in that novel, he created this. It's sort of a speculative fiction novel, somewhat akin to Atwood's The Handmaid's Tale. And in 2084, he imagines this Islamist totalitarian world after a nuclear holocaust in which people's lives are extremely tightly controlled, and they have to pray, for example, 9 times a day. The government surveys them constantly, even surveys their thoughts, terrorizes the population with public executions, etc. Now, that caused quite a bit of scandal and concern in France. And interestingly, the novel did get some coverage in Canada from Russell Smith. Around 9 years ago, he wrote a column entitled that it is possible to write politically significant novels in the 21st century, because I guess people have been saying in Toronto's literary circles that the novel is apolitical or not impactful or whatever. I don't know what the conversations were that Russell might have been having to prompt this particular argument that he made. In any case, the novel did cause a stir in Europe, but it didn't cause a stir in North America. As far as I know, it was never picked up by an American publisher. It certainly wasn't picked up by a Canadian publisher. And the fact that Sansal has now been arrested for making what in North America or Europe would be a very anodyne statement really illustrates that depending on where an author lives and depending on the type of de facto governance of the nation that that author lives in, really helps sort of define the political risk taking that an author will take. Is it possible to say something in Canada that is so outrageous that it would gain censure from the government? It could be, theoretically. It would have to be sort of defined as hate speech or something like that. Could it be possible to say something that is defensible and sane and would still be censured? I'm not sure, you know. I know that in the UK, which has laws very similar to Canada's, J.K. Rowling has come close. But I can't, there are obviously no examples of this happening in recent Canadian literary history. Canada used to be Canadian institutions and governments used to be very, very fond of censorship. Up until around the 1970s or 80s, there was a censoring board in Ontario which was notorious among filmmakers and a real target of criticism for all the censorship that it did. Censoring of books has tended to be more in the form of self-censoring. But these days it's hard to think of any particular examples of that. Could there be other topics that are political that would, say, not get published because they're considered shocking, but again, were defensible topics? I think that there are. Speaking personally, in my case, I've written a couple of novels in which they delve into history of Asia, and they deal with the whole question of whether there was foreknowledge, American foreknowledge of the Japanese attack on Pearl Harbor. This is a big, big issue. Obviously among people online who are sort of fascinated by World War II history, especially the war in the Pacific. It's often consigned as a conspiracy theory. But the question itself has been debated seriously by historians, and they do not agree on this particular topic. Another topic that's less well known is whether there was foreknowledge of the North Korean attack on South Korea on June the 25th, 1950. It's a similar kind of argument. It's sort of a parallel argument to the Pearl Harbor foreknowledge argument. But again, it doesn't really resonate. Canadian presses are not interested in this topic. I have tried and tried and tried to interest Canadian presses in this, and they just don't want to even look at the manuscripts, really. The issues are important because, first of all, they key into the whole question of how governments operate, how their intel organizations operate, how they make big political decisions connected to war, how they prefer to have the other side fire the first shot. This was certainly the case in the 20th century. Maybe it's different now in the 21st century. And both these wars, the Pacific War and the Korean War, had an impact on Canada, quite a big impact. So they are Canadian issues too. Is that censorship? No, not quite. But in Canada, as I said earlier, we don't do censorship as much these days. We do more self-censorship.